I'm here in the heart of the South Wales valleys, about to meet a bladesmith who'll be teaching me how to turn a spring into a very useful bushcraft tool. So Rhys, you're a blacksmith and bladesmith. What's the difference?
Blacksmiths generally work mild steel. Bladesmith predominantly makes edge tools. It's the difference between a blacksmith and a farrier. A farrier will shoe horses solely, where a blacksmith will do general fabrication and artistic work.
So you like making tools? Is there any particular reason for that?
Well, I started 20-something years ago as a traditional green woodworker. So the whole premise of me taking up edge tool making, bladesmithing, was to make my own set of tools. That then developed into yet another business, which has gone from strength to strength over the last 7 years.
So as well as making the tools, you enjoy using them as well?
Yeah, occasionally I manage to either do a commission or do something for purely pleasure. So it can be sculpture, relief carving, or working on listed buildings, timber structures. So a little bit of variance is the way to a happy life, I think.
So you're happy as long as you're working with your hands?
Yes, definitely. I don't think I could be bound to a desk ever again, really. Unfortunately, a life of grime is the one for me.
No bad thing, is it? But in terms of blade making, I mean, there are thousands of different styles of blades, all suited to different tasks. What's your favourite thing to make?
Probably axes or adzes. I do love a well-turned axe. It has great utility, whether you're felling, whether you're carving, whether you're splitting kindling. Every axe has a different purpose. So basically there's a host of skills to learn, finesse to attain with these skills.
So today we're making a pretty specialised tool called a crook knife, or Mocotaugan, and tell me a little bit about how we'll be going about making that.
Basically we're going to run from round bar spring steel. We're going to draw that flat and out down to a specified width, somewhere around 3mm. We're going to make a flat bar then, 12mm wide, hopefully tapering down to about 8mm on the cut-in point. Anneal that in the fire ashes after drawing out.
So annealing is softening, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the annealing process and stress relieving helps rebuild the crystalline structure within the steel and softens the steel. One of the properties of spring, it sort of air hardens. So basically, you've got to anneal it to allow the abrasive or file work to be done with relative ease, rather than struggling against a hardened surface. Once that's done, we're back in the forge to put the final shape on the blade, then harden it. That'll be transferred to a temper oven afterwards, before final polishing and mounting on the handle.
It's quite a complicated process to make what is essentially a very simple tool, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex, simple thing, as it always got told to me. There's many steps which need to be done correctly. But once those steps have been done a couple of times, it's a very simplistic process. We're virtually following a 19th century process with modern tools, that we're using abrasives to grind. We're doing a little work with the hammer, then we're doing a little work with the grinders, and then we're going back into the forge to finish the workpiece, sort of thing. So, but the whole high carbon process has probably been around since Roman times. So, you know, late Iron Age, that's when carbon steel was discovered and the properties of carbon steel. So nothing really much has changed apart from the quality of carbon steel since those times.
It's a fascinating thing to be following in the footsteps of a long legacy of blacksmiths and bladesmiths, isn't it?
This is the wonder about using some of the tools, some of the anvils we work on. I've had one which dates back to about 1750. The ones I'm currently using are mid to late Victorian period. Some of the vice tables we've got here are good cast or wrought ironwork, Victorian wrought ironwork. So it gives you a continuity of the heritage of smithing. It's a very nice feeling that our ancestors sort of looking over your shoulders and tutting very
Only
often.
those anvils could speak. Imagine that. So you're also into bushcraft and love getting outside. Now, do you feel a real pleasure in using tools that you make yourself?
Yes, and also, wherever possible, spreading the knowledge with those tools with the different crafts, be it wood carving, be it with woodland management, with all the different aspects which come under the bushcraft banner. It's not, you know, sort of everyone's got a different take on bushcraft, whether it's dangling from a tree in a hammock, going out in the tent, sitting there enjoying yourselves, or doing a little bit of craft. It all comes part and parcel, and you all need the tools, and you all need to shift the skills on to other people as you go, sort of thing.
That's the one thing we all have in common, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love the sharp tools. So this is the step-by-step description of the making of a Mocotaugan. Now the first thing is to select the steel. Spring steel has a high carbon content and makes excellent tool blades, but the first thing is it has to be straightened out. Now once we have the steel, the first step of making the Mocotaugan is to draw out the bar. So drawing out the steel means to flatten it and create the correct length for the blade. And this is done over the horn of the anvil. The next stage is to use the cut-off tool to cut the blade off to the correct length. Once the blade's been shaped, it needs to be annealed. This means heating it to a cherry red colour before burying it in the ashes of the forge. This realigns the crystalline structure of the steel. After annealing, we grind the bevel and clean up the surface of the steel with the angle grinder and linisher. Next, we bend the handle tab to 90 degrees and shape the hook using a former. The blade tang is adjusted to an angle of 15 degrees, which is the final stage before hardening. The steel is heated to a cherry red colour, which brings it to a non-magnetic state. It's then quenched in vegetable oil. Then it's into the oven at 260 degrees Celsius for 50 minutes to temper the blade and allow it to cool before removing. Tempering reduces the hardness of the blade, making it less likely to shatter. Following tempering, it's sharpening and polishing on a linisher and rotary drill, using a progression of grades of sandpaper and polishing compound. The handle is shaped and the blade fitted before whipping with sailmaker's thread. So there we have it, one completed Mocotaugan. Let's see how it works. Well, Rhys, I've wanted to make one of these for ages and really appreciate you showing me through step by step how to create one. But could you tell me a little bit about the history of these?
Well, originally they would have been trade goods to the Northwest Pacific tribes. That's where the Mocotaugan name comes from, although they were traded extensively in the Americas for you know, sort of silver goods, pelts, anything really which the tribes could supply.
So these were very popular with the Native Americans?
Yeah, they would have been used for everything. Hollowing tools, as a draw knife, as a deep hollower, you get variations of the patterns of them, even to the point of used for harvesting birch bark, for birch bark vessels, which would and birch bark strips for making baskets and so forth. So a very versatile tool.
So really, if you're carrying an axe, one of these, and maybe a normal knife, you've covered all your bases.
Yeah, you've got a good starting basic toolkit. So yeah, very much a good old school frontiers sort of toolkit. Yeah, very versatile.
Brilliant. Well, it's been a fantastic day, so thanks again, Rhys.
You're more than welcome.